Thanks to the supporters of channel member Ben Pennells. Well, as anticipated after the summer we had, this season's proving to be just a smidgen more challenging than the last one was. So I thought I'd better come back a little bit earlier than planned, especially because we've got our derby match doubleheader, Atlas and America, back to back, and hopefully we can get back to winning ways. Hello and welcome to part 15 of El Director Deportivo. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have those two games in the league, away against Atlas and at home against Club America, which I have learnt since we faced Atlas in the playoffs last year that is our other derby. That's our city derby, apparently. The Clásico Tapatio. They're the other team in Guadalajara, apparently. And Club America are the historical sort of other big club in Mexico rivals. So we've got those two games back to back. Since you were last with me, if we just have a little look at how form has been going, I mean, to be fair, it's not been disastrous. We started a little difficultly, and we've not been quite as fluent in the league as we have been previously. The Leagues Cup is going well. I'm only going to show you another game in that if we make it to the final, because we're just battering the whole MLS one after the other. We've beaten Philadelphia, we've thumped Minnesota, we've got a game against Orlando City coming up. And they're all away games as well. We're constantly having to fly into America, but struggled to a 2-0 win over Puebla. And this is what the league table looks like. So 7 games in, we're 4th in the league, but it is starting to take on a more familiar look. Monterrey, Atlas, Chivas, America, Tigres. These are the teams who were top 6, both parts of last season. I mean, Club America had a poor clausura, but they're your familiar faces from last year. And it is slowly starting to shake out into a more familiar look from where it was. So hopefully we can do well in our 2 derbies, get ourselves back up to the top of the league and see where the rest of the season takes us. So we are away against Atlas first up. This is the team that we're going to be putting out there for that game. We're going with Godinho in goal, a back four of Calderon, Breseño, Montes and Brizuela, Molina at the base of the midfield, Gonzalez and Villalpando ahead of him, Alvarado, Vega and Lainez are our front 3. It's nice to have a full strength team back together again. Now everybody's back from the Olympics, back from their holidays. I'm not saying the Olympics are a holiday. There were people on holidays and ill and injured, and a few of them at the Olympics, and like half the team were at the Olympics, but the majority of our normal first team players are back now. Angulo has still got a little bit of an injury, but he's not really a regular starter. Likewise with Peña. So really, looking at who's unavailable, this is probably our first choice full strength team this season. I don't know how I'd still like a better striker, but Vega, now he's back, isn't a disaster. 2 goals in his first 5 games since returning from the Olympics. So hopefully now we've got a striker again, we can start scoring some goals and winning some games again. The problem is, of course, with only having the one striker and knowing that there is another transfer window always on the horizon, we don't know what Mike's going to do then. We did accept a £3 million offer for Vega in the window just gone, but luckily he decided he didn't want to go. So I'm not sure what Mike would have done if he had have gone. I'm almost interested to find out. There's less than a minute on the clock here and we're already 1-0 down against Atlas. This was not part of the script for today's episode. It's the first shot either team have had. It's from a set piece. It's a pretty soft goal, actually. It's a free kick. It looked like it was supposed to be a flick on, but it's kind of eluded everybody in both teams, including the goalkeeper, and sort of looped into that far corner, given Atlas an early lead. And 15 minutes later, it's still the only shot that's been had in this game so far. So we need to sort ourselves out a little bit here. Let's demand more and hopefully get something going in the shape of an attack. Here's a corner of our own. Villalpando with the in-swinger and Breseño with the header that goes just over. We know from last year when he finished our top scorer just how much of a threat he can be from those set pieces. But on this occasion, it's a little bit high and he needs to target it a little bit lower in the second half if we're going to have anything other than a massively disappointing day, because we've reached half-time. That was the one chance of the first half. We are not playing very well at all. I'm going to aggressively shout at the boys, tell them that that's not good enough. We have got, I guess Antuna is the one potential. Why have we got 2 J Rodriguez's? That's going to confuse me. But Antuna's probably the one potential game changer that we've got on that bench. That's the big issue we've got with our squad. When we get in a situation like this, we don't have much in the way of a plan B or an additional attacking option to bring off the bench, because we are, despite having a really huge bloated squad, in my mind, we're operating on a thin squad because we've not got many players who I'd want to actually use. And we'll bring on Antuna and Cisneros, though, as 2 potential. In fact, we're going to do a triple change. We're going to bring on Macias as well, because he's been pretty useful in the little snippets of appearances that he's had. He started a few games early on in the season when everyone else was unavailable, but he doesn't let us down, and it's a slightly different attacking option for us. Alvarado wins the ball back very deep and just starts running, gets his head down, ball over the top for Cisneros, who's in, and that is a lovely finish from Cisneros. How are you going to disallow that, referee? At what point in that move was that offside? He had the ball for so long. Why not blow the flag? Blow the flag. Blow that flag, referee! I mean, why is the flag not going? Why is the whistle not going? Why let him apply the finish? Blow that flag. My word. It's not going to work for us today, is it? Right, we do have... I say we don't have a plan B. We don't, really. But I guess the closest to a plan B we've got is to just push everybody forward a little bit and kind of do this. Which, I mean, it's not ideal, but it gets an extra body a little bit further forward, and it might help as we try and chase an equaliser. This is not how today we're supposed to go. Montes playing it forward to Macias, who turns, looks up, got plenty of options ahead of him, finds Alvarado, who's going to run at defenders again, playing Calderon in, who's on the overlap, playing it all the way back to Molina. That's the wrong ball. We had 3 players lined up in that penalty area looking for the cross. We've got to be a little bit more attacking oomph about us. Brizela's done well here, and I think he's won us an 85th minute penalty, which, goodness me, do we need this? Because we do not look like scoring from open play. 85 minutes in, we've not had a clear-cut chance yet. Referee going over to the little telly. Come on, ref. You know what's good for you. While you're there, someone slip him a fiver. Let's have a penalty. What do you think, referee? He's giving us a penalty. Excellent work. Which should be an opportunity for Bresenio to draw us level in the game. Here he goes, and take time. Are we going to take this back? I mean, this doesn't make for good commentary, but the ref's not even looking. I thought he'd missed that, but it has ended up in the back of the net. It's his first goal of the season, so our top scorer from last year, a little bit of a quiet start, because in all competitions, I think that's his 10th game. He got 16, 17 goals for us last year. Their goalkeeper stood behind the line there. I'm not sure he realises what his role is supposed to be in this setup. We're going to continue with the 4-2-3-1 and just hope for a winner, but I don't think it's going to come, is it? 1-1 away against Atlas. It's what I was saying before. We're not quite the same team we were last year, but now we play Club America. Montes could do with a rest. Well, I think everybody's getting a rest now because it's an international break, so we'll just give him a week off training, and that should be plenty. Club America. Oh, 2 weeks have passed, and we've had a cold and flu outbreak. Molina is out with a virus for a couple of weeks. Antuna, I think, also has the cold. Godinho was out with it for a short while, but is now back. A couple of the other guys, basically anyone who you can see who's not 100% fit after the 2-week break that they've had. Montes definitely had it. I think Gonzalez had it as well. There's been colds and flu and viruses all going around at the same time. But luckily, we've come out the other side of it and relatively unscathed this game as well. The only player we've not been able to field is Gonzalez, and with Vasquez playing for the under-20s or the B team or somebody today, because my squad management is awful. That means we've got to play this guy as our defensive midfielder. So Sergio Flores, who's 25 years old. He's another one of these who's been at Chivas forever, but hasn't actually been here playing for Chivas for 5 years. He's been out on loan playing in the lower leagues for various clubs for 3 years at the same club there. What's that? A 3-year loan? That doesn't happen in real life, boys and girls, does it? The reason I wanted to come to Mexico. But he comes in for Molina, and we head to... In fact, we don't head anywhere. This is our home game. The big derby. The what's this one called? It's not the Super Classico, is it? It's something else. It's a big game. We want to beat Club America, not just because it's the derby, but also because they're slightly above us in the league as well. And we're also looking at Monterrey. We're starting to pull out a little bit of a lead ahead of us. Now, we know that doesn't really matter because as long as we finish top 8, it basically is a level playing field from there. It becomes a knockout tournament. But we want to finish as high up in the league as possible, because the higher up in the league we finish, the better the draw we get for those first round of the playoffs. And once you get past there, it's a bit of a lottery. But we'd rather play Morelia than Monterrey in those playoffs if the option is there. We want a penalty here. I think we have won a penalty here. Yes, we have. So it's going to be Briseño to take. He hadn't scored all season until this episode, and now he's going to grab his second. No, he's not. It's gone wide. Ridiculous. It hasn't gone wide. It was a save. I know the difference. I'm very sad about it, but we do have a resulting corner, and it's Villalpando aiming for the far post for once, which is not what he's been instructed to do, and it clearly didn't work either. We stacked that front post with all our bigger players and bigger goal threats, and he's gone and overhit it for the far post, so we don't really have anybody there, and it just didn't work. Oh, this team's frustrating. It's like there's some kind of language barrier between me and them, but I never had this problem with Apollon. Come on, we need you to do as you're told. We're down to 5th in the league as it stands right now. I think we started the game 5th, actually. That's a much better corner. And Briseño with a header that goes just over. That's a much better chance. And now, with 30 seconds to go before the halftime whistle, we get another highlight, and it's Vega, who's come very deep to pick the ball up here. Villalpando knocking it over the top for Alvarado, who brings it down nicely, but Vega's not there, although Vega has ran about 50 yards to get onto the end of the rebound. He wasn't there for the original cross, but he must have just released the ball at the start of the move here and just carried on running. There is his run. He is charging into that area. He slowed down a little bit there. But he wasn't there for the cross. Didn't need the cross. We played a little bit of a 1-2 situation with the goalkeeper there, and Vega is in to tuck away the opening goal of this game. We've got another chance before half time here. It falls to Gonzalez on the edge of the area from the long throw. Flores out to Lainez. A second here. I thought that had crossed the line. Do we have goal line tech here? Because that was about a foot over the line. Well, we're ahead. That's the important thing, but I think we should be 2 goals ahead. As it stands then, 4 points off the top of the table. We have played 1 game more than Monterrey because we're going to have these differences in games played throughout the season because we've now got an odd number of teams in the league. Presumably there's going to be a 20th team added this summer, or else I don't really get the idea of bringing it up to 19 unless it's just a route through to 20, and then maybe they're going to change the way they structure the league after that, because otherwise I don't get it. Perhaps someone in the comments could explain to me why the league is being expanded and if they're going to be changing the format of it and turning it into a more typical league once they've got 20 teams, because to me that makes sense. If that's what they're working towards, that makes a lot of sense. Right, 20 minutes to go. We have a throw. It's Villalpando charging forward. Brizuela now, who, remember when we arrived and Brizuela was a winger? He's a right back now. There's not even a thought to play him on that right wing. He has become a defender. Maya now coming quite far forward from his centre-back starting spot. Flores, who hasn't looked out of place at all in this team. Brizuela, cross comes in. Macias nods down to Lainez, and that probably should have been 2. We've certainly had the opportunities to go 2-0 up in this game, and 2 of them have fallen to Lainez. There was the one that should have been a goal at the end of the first half, and that one probably just needed a slightly better finish. But I imagine he just thought, well, what's the point? They don't give them when I do a good finish. Vega coming very deep to pick the ball up again. I mean, I like the fact he's working hard, and it did come off for us last time, but I would kind of like him to stay a little bit further forward and have some of our other players do some of this chasing around. We're going to bring Puente on for Lainez and just stick Vega out onto the wing because he clearly wants to be hanging out a little bit deeper, hanging out wide. So Puente can come on, who is one of our promising youngsters, 5-star potential young striker. Get a little bit more game time into him. And hopefully, I was just trying to work out what I'd done with Briseño, but I took him off before because he was ruined by the penalty. That makes sense to me. Calderon to Villalpando, plays it forward to Puente, who turns a little bit slowly, and I think he was having the shot rather than looking to play Vega in, which was probably the wrong choice. Villalpando in space, though, and we've seen him do that so many times before over the course of the last season and a half. And Villalpando, with his 4th goal of the season, makes it 2-0. And we might not have got past Atlas, but goodness me, have we absolutely dominated Club America today. This has been a very good performance in I guess, playoff finals aside, biggest game of the season. You want the bragging rights over your big rivals. And this is, as I'm led to believe, the big derby here in Mexico. And we haven't just won it, we've absolutely battered them. The scoreline flatters them a little bit, I think. And as you can see, we now go into the semi-final of the League's Cup. So if that goes well, I think the final of that must be sometime during the Apertura. So we'll come back for the final if we've got a chance to win something. Otherwise, from here, looking at that league table, I think it's safe to assume we're probably going to be in the playoffs again. So if we bottle this, we'll just come back for the playoffs. There'll be something to win in the next episode. Either way. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.